The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tony D'Angelo's PM Coast to Coast. Now, here's your host, Tony D'Angelo.
Well, thank you very much, Mike Du Bois, and thanks to everybody along the stations up and down on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. This is Tony D'Angelo's PM Coast to Coast, the Speaking of Everything edition. And I have a gentleman here whom I've been honored to have a few times. And he's always been so gracious, a supporter of the show, and just a wonderful guy to be with. And it's Mel Carter. Mel, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Tony. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. And, you know, out of all the questions that we've ever talked about, out of everything we've ever done, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. I have a Martian next door neighbor, and I'm introducing you to him. He's never heard of you. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know where you've been. And I say to him, neighbor, this is Mel Carter. Tell my neighbor who you are, what you do, and what your mission in life is.
Oh, okay. Let's start by saying I'm Mel Carter. And Mel Carter is the guy who recorded one of the best love songs ever written, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, that is played at least once in every state, in every country of the world, at least once or twice a day. It has been since it hit in 1965. What my mission in life is to make music for lovers.
And that you have done. And you know, it's interesting when you mention that song, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, which has been played once a day, every day for 50 some odd years. We had a discussion a while back, and this was never really one of your favorite pieces. Am I correct about that?
You're correct in the sense that when I first got the song, when we came to Imperial Records, which was part of Liberty, I thought that I was a jazz singer prior to that. You know, after being on Sam Cooke's label, which my first record with him was When a Boy Falls in Love, and then way back in 1957, I started with Quincy Jones on Mercury Records with a record, Ivory Joe Hunter tune called I Need You So. But I had to be directed to sing on the beat with Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me. No liberties were taken until we got to the bridge. So that was why I thought that the song, you know, I didn't like it at first because I had to sing on the beat, you know.
Now, you've performed that song, I mean, literally countless numbers of times. And every time you do it, are you thinking about doing it a different way for a different audience?
No, you know, I've had this discussion from time to time, but every time you do a song, or every time I do that song, or any song that's from the records, what makes it new is the audience. Each time you have a different and new audience, that's a different energy that they're giving to you. Okay? So when it comes across the footlights, you automatically give back to them, and that's the difference. It's you in the audience that makes the difference for me.
Now, when we speak, and we've spoken a number of times, I get the impression, or the distinct impression, that music is not work to you, my friend. It's fun.
Oh, it's a joy. Can you imagine, a doctor, all right? Can you imagine a doctor, and then you go in to see the doctor, and he knows exactly what you want and what you need? Okay. When I'm performing, it's a joy because I'm giving of myself. And if that reaches, that energy that comes from that audience comes over the floodlights hits me, and it automatically makes me give back to them. So it's a give and take situation, and I love that.
I have such a strong indicia of that in your voice. It is so clear to me. But your career in music, I'm probably not going to say how many years, but it goes back a long way, doesn't it? Can you tell us your beginnings?
The first hit record, like I said, was in
Right.
1959 with Quincy Jones on Mercury Records. But then I started singing gospel music way back when I was a kid in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then coming out to the West Coast meetings, I knew Sam Cooke in Chicago when I was a teenager. And then when I came up to the West Coast, getting with him and having in '63 doing When a Boy Falls in Love, and then moving from there over to the Imperial Liberty Records, and a whole string of records came after that. But I've been lucky and blessed to have known some very, very, very extremely and talented people in this business and learned from them.
Now, when you were growing up in Cincinnati, did you have, I mean, obviously you had musical people that you followed. Did you follow sports or basketball? Did you have some childhood heroes?
No. I think the sports that I did cross country, where you run,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried a little bit of the football team. Wasn't very good at it. The people that were then everybody, or like all the guys, like when you hung out at dances and everything, you harmonized, you sang.
Yeah.
There was a group from Cincinnati called Otis Williams and the Charms, and Lonnie Carter was one of the men. Everybody thought that we were related to each other because we had the last name. But the students but we all sang. So it's like it was part of our DNA at that point, just to harmonize, And we used to have on the hills at the Y every Wednesday, and the part about doing the harmonizing is because that was the way to get the girls.
Interesting. It's it just really I have this incredibly vivid picture of what you're saying. I wanted to your rise to stardom, your meeting Sam Cooke, who was a great influence upon you, Sam's loss, and how all of that impacted you. I mean, I was reading about Sam earlier, and he really was an entrepreneur way ahead of his time, at least from what I could see in the music industry.
Yes, he was. And being part of the SAR record label, we were family. It was like a family. And I got to tell you that historically, When a Boy Falls in Love is the first pop record from a black-owned company, okay? And When a Boy Falls in Love, Derby Records was designed for that first release. So it created his pop division, which was Derby Records.
Interesting. And were there some of the information that Sam may have imparted upon you early on that you kept that were life lessons that were, shall we say, critical or precious to you going forward?
Sam was that kind of performer who gave his all when he was on stage. And that's part of what I take from him. There have been other people down in my career that I've taken various things from, and they were very helpful. Many of them I used. There was a thing that I used to imitate, not I used to bite my lip on the left side, and that was one of the things that Sam did, and that was just a nervous twitch of mine, you know. But other than that, boy, there's so many people that I've taken things from, and you know, like made it mine.
Was there one particular artist that really gripped you going back into your youth and your teen years before you started to chart, before you became known?
I can't say there was any one, but I think when I was a teenager, because I sang so high, the person that had the biggest influence on me in the pop field was Dinah Washington.
Ah.
And Little Jimmy Scott. I met Little Jimmy Scott when I was, I think, 16 years old, when he was with Lionel Hampton's band.
And there's not a lot of people who actually know who Little Jimmy Scott is, tragically.
Maybe, but Little Jimmy Scott was just awesome. Awesome. He had, I think Nancy Wilson took from him. Certainly I did. Many other artists from that time. There was an artist named Larry Darnell, and I'm going back and giving you all those old school people. But Little Jimmy Scott, I had the pleasure of working with him several times, and on his, I think, 60th birthday when he had it here, I was part of the show. But I still have a pair of cufflinks that he gave me when I was 16.
And it's quite a legacy that you carry forward. Now, you had spent a great deal of time with Dick Clark, and here I am, I'm thinking it's a Saturday. Every Saturday we would watch American Bandstand. My whole life I wanted to be Dick Clark. Probably the closest I'm ever going to come is interviewing Mel Carter on a Saturday. What kind of a man was Dick Clark, and how did he work with you in your career?
You know what? Dick had a way of making us, all of us young performers, feel like we were majestic, and there was an ease that he had that made us very comfortable when he did do interviews with us. And you know, when you, I did several of Dick Clark shows. You know, when you first, the energy is so high and so pumping your heart so fast that when you do national television, you have to calm down. And he had a way. He had that smooth way of bringing you right into him and making it easy for you. And he was great. He was great.
And that's the incredible thing, and you certainly mentioned it. He made it look so effortless.
Yes, he did.
He really, truly did. And in going over what we were going to talk about today, I played and I replayed and I replayed and I replayed and I shared your version of the national anthem. What really caught me is what I have been saying for years about the national anthem. When you turn on a sporting event, it's usually a performance, and it is not homage to one's country. And you really captured that for the ages. What moved you to do that recording of the anthem and to do it so well and to capture everything that's, I think, we really need to think about with America?
I believe that, as a singer, I'm an interpreter of the lyric, and the lyric content is very important to me. And if you can fit the lyric content in with the emotional feeling and bring that life to that writer who wrote that song, and then carry over the passion that you do have for this country that we live in, and I don't know. I don't know what to say except that that's very emotional for me, and I'm hoping that I put all of that feeling in that we all have for this country, the love, this for America and the world.
And I believe you captured it well, my friend.
Well, hopefully I did, and that, I know we haven't brought this up, but that's connected with the Raise the World, Sing Louder Than the Gun, which is the new single that I'm working on. And the lyric content of that is just fantastic. I didn't write the lyrics, but my co-writer wrote, he and I wrote the song, Alex Gerber. And I'm just I don't know what to say. I'm just a very passionate person when it comes down to dealing with certain things that are very close to my heart.
Well, when you mention close to your heart, I believe, not leading you, but I believe what you're saying is love of God, love of country, love of family, helping one another, and these all seem to be values today that, we have to look hard to find them. I mean, my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think so much is going on. Like we were talking about lyrics. That, even in the 50s and stuff, it was a simpler lyric, and it was a more, if we, simple time. We didn't have that much to deal with, so we dealt with each other in a very loving way, I think, more so than what we're doing now.
And
but I do say this.
Sure.
We can and still can make a difference.
I agree. I agree. And from that, I sense within you a feeling or a sentiment, I think, especially involving young people, where so much of your life came through being a young person, through your music, through your career, getting into the spotlight, so to speak, and continuing to perform. And it's, at least for me, there's something I think in your heart about young people and the direction that they're headed in, and you're doing everything you can to set this thing back on a proper plane, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that we are, those of us who are mature now, it's our job to teach, and it's our job to pass on what that information and that we have and that we've lived. It's just like you have your children. You try to bring them up and teach them the right way. Okay, it's up to them after a point whether they take it and use what you have given them. I know my parents. I find myself. Do you ever find yourself now? You say, "When did I get to be my dad?"
Yeah, for sure.
Or when did I get to be? Or you find yourself saying the same things that your mother said, or your aunt or your uncle. And one of the other things too, when I was a kid, I used to like to hang around the older people because I love to hear their stories. And like, I don't know if the kids today are investing in that, to get that knowledge. So I don't know. I just, it was a different time, and I'm just here to pass it on, to the younger generation. Hopefully they get it, and I'm sure a lot of them do.
Well, and you mention that, and you work in a profession that has an incredible burnout rate, an incredible tragedy rate, an incredible here today, gone tomorrow rate, and an incredible Boulevard of Broken Dreams rate, but yet you have maintained your profession decade after decade after decade. You've maintained your well-being, you've maintained your faith, you've maintained your perspective, and I'm going to approach this two ways. I think the first way is when you were a young performer, being a kid out of Cincinnati, when everything was moving real fast, was a lot of that challenging? And what made you more or less the exception rather than the sad rule in these cases?
Well, naturally, my upbringing, my family, and the family unit. When even now, when I go back home, I visit and we celebrate with my family. My family, I'm very family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also the group of friends, that the people that you are surrounded with, keeps you on a level. I never will forget that when when a boy falls in love started hitting. My mom woke me up. I think it was on a Tuesday morning, and it was garbage day, and for me to take out the trash, and I'm thinking, hey, I got a hit record on, and my mom said, I'm not going to tell you anymore. Get up, take out the trash, So I knew when she said that, the second warning, we don't get a third chance. So you get up, you take it out, and the guys in the front, the garbage people had said, hey Mel, what are you doing out here? Now this may sound corny. What are you doing out here? When you're big time, man. I saw you on Dick Clark. I said, yeah, but I got to go back in the house.
It's
So when you have people around you that keep you grounded, that will
mm-hmm.
not let your head get bigger than the hat or cap that you're about to put on, I think that's one of the biggest things. And like we were friends. I had friends, and some of them I still know and have today.
That's just such a wonderful story.
Yeah.
And anything, how could I put it? Anything mentally, physically, prayerfully that you do to, stay in, shall we say, fighting trim as you are always so vibrant and dear to all of us?
Well, I have to tell you this, I come downstairs in the office, every morning or most of the mornings, and I open the Bible and I study it. Not, each time that I've read, my mind has put me into a higher level, and I find more interesting things in the scriptures that help me as a person and see the world in a different light or in a positive light. I think we spend too much time on the bad things and not enough time talking the good things. And draw from, and I like thinking back at, when you say when did I get to be my father, it makes me laugh. Or when did I use something that my mother said? Those are good feelings. Remembering, and it keeps me now, forged ahead to keep doing what I do. I don't know anything else to do but that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I often say that, my father's been gone 4 decades, and with every day, with every moment, he becomes more brilliant. And this is a man, I think it was Mark Twain that said, when I was 13. I thought my father was the dumbest man in the world, and by the time I had gotten to my mid-20s, I was amazed at how much more he had learned.
Right. You have that period of time when you flex your muscles when you're in that 12 to
Yeah.
18, and like you know it all. Nobody ever knows anything but you know, and your parents. But and the other thing is that family. We all lived within a 10-block radius of each other. My grandmother, my uncles, my aunt. So, and I keep telling this to people like, no, we couldn't do any really bad stuff because there was this whole family thing that if they saw you and everybody could chastise you, where you can't do that today. See? But so you couldn't get away with anything.
That's interesting. Now, I've spoken to performers in the past who, very good friend, he would not mind me telling this, Michael Dante, an actor from my hometown of Stamford, Connecticut, an actor and so much more, an actor, an author, a teacher, a radio interviewer, long legacy. And he would say that when he got into the fast crowd of Hollywood, or he tells me even to this day, how he remained sane was going to Dodger games at night because baseball kept him on a level. Now, is that the sort of thing you were doing and that you do where, you get off the party circuit, if you will? Not that I really would think you'd be a party guy, and you go and you read your Bible, or you watch a movie, or you meditate, or you pray, and just I like to get you understanding fully what you're saying. I'd like to get your particular secrets if I could.
I don't know. I don't think there's any one way that anybody survives in this particular business, and I know what you alluded to that earlier to say how the tragic things that's happened to people in this business, opposed to those of us who have hung around and stayed here. Like I said, there is that. I like teaching. I'm into writing a lot right now. I did go to the Dodgers game, but that wasn't a thing to keep me level. Did like I love the Dodgers, and now what brings. I'm caught up into the basketball.
Yeah.
Really caught up into the basketball. Sometimes I think I'm a hoop. But you have to find things outside of this that you love, because you're not going to always ride the wave where it's at the tip. It comes down, and the part that you have to do is have a place where you're level, not that the highs are highs, the lows are lows. You have to find the center.
I'm reading you. And that's it's just such a wonderful story and a wonderful lesson. I don't want to leave this particular interview without mentioning your acting. You had a career as an actor in a number of things, and how did that all come about? Was it because of your success in the music industry, and what caused that? The favorite things you acted in, perhaps a couple of the performers that were really good friends with you. I'm just curious how you all kind of bounced off into that.
Well, back in the day, when you had a hit single, right? The companies graduated you to an album artist, right? As an album artist, you were an established artist. So the natural progression was to move you into TV and film to make you a bigger name, you know. So that was management and executives that were recording companies. But naturally, you know, like when I was a kid, I used to get whippings because I would go to the movies. They would say, and I would stay all day long, all day, morning till night, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there at night, but that was my dream. And then to come to LA and start working with people that you had seen on the screen, that was living a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I still live a dream, but to be able to see something as in your youth and be a part of it as you're growing up, you know, that's mind blowing, you know, for me.
Was there a favorite role that you had that you acted in?
I would say all of them. All of them. I mean, there weren't enough of them, but I mean, I would say all of them. And then, you know, the other thing too is that the companies and your management, I did theater, you know, as well, you know, and the commercials, and I've been in just about every aspect of this business, and whatever your talent moves you into, okay, it's in the entertainment business.
It's a very interesting and
I get to sit here and talk with you, right? And talk to jocks and fans and people. What better life could you have than that? Okay.
well, you've blessed so many, Mel. It's really incredible. In our closing moments together, I just wanted to ask you, have you ever been in a place, I don't know, a department store or an elevator, or walking through a place where music was playing and Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me was playing, and people were reacting to it, and they had no idea that you were actually there?
Yes. A lot of times, you know. Remember the Muzak?
Yes.
They played that in elevators.
Yes, elevator music.
Grocery stores. But I think the biggest thrill that I've ever had is when my music was first featured on flights, and I was with the headphones and heard it and reacted to it, you know, and everybody looked at me. They didn't know what I was reacting to. You know, like music, you know. But that was, I think, one of the biggest times for me, you know. And then winning the jukebox award for the amount of plays that Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me got. I don't mean to talk about just that. We had the fact that When a Boy Falls in Love, I Need You So, all of a sudden My Heart Sings, You, Band of Gold, all of those things, all of those records came in that era. It was just an exciting time for me. It has been all this. This has been a fantastic ride, you know, and it's not over yet.
Not by a long shot. To which, what is the next stop, as you like to say, for Mel Carter?
The next stop right here, the stop that we're working on now is, here's the salesman. Raise the world, sing louder, than the gun. That's the title of the thing.
And we can't wait to listen to it. Mel, once again, I'm honored and touched at your kindness.
My friend Lenny Welch and I,
yes,
that's one of my best friends in the business. That's one of my best friends. Period. We wrote a show, a show called The Legends of Rock and Roll, The Balladeers, and the title song. That's the title song, The Legends of Rock and Roll, The Balladeers. And we got a chance to do the title song and record it, and it's out. It's on you can view it on YouTube, and you can view the antics that Lenny and I go through, because it's crazy. It's just, he and I are really crazy when we get together.
Well, I'll tell you that you've taught us all a lesson, and that the joy of what you do will take your work away, and it's really something.
Hey, don't you love what you do?
I do. Thank you for asking. I think sometimes my perfectionistic instincts will drive me to tears, but when you get it right, there's no better feeling.
It sure is. I mean, it's a good feeling. It's wow. I can't explain that to people who don't feel that way, but I mean, it's when you love what you do, and then it comes off. It comes off the way you have it up in your head. That's a fantastic feeling.
It's such a valuable life lesson. Well, I thank you once again. We'll be watching for you, as we always do. We'll have you back. Thank you for your kindness, your willingness to share, and Mel, you are golden, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you out there.
Thanks, and thanks to all our friends in the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network who will be listening to this interview. And we got Jackie Wilson on the way out. Mel, you take care. We'll talk soon.
All right, be well.
Special thanks to the legendary Mel Carter. Such an honor. Goosebumps every time I speak with him. We'll be back again with a show real soon. We're working on a couple of guests. So to all our friends in the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network and wherever you may be listening to this, this is Tony D'Angelo saying have a great day and have a great week, and knock 'em dead. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.